For an update on the talks, we're now joined by our correspondent in Geneva, Eva Manasieva. Eva, has there been any word up to this moment on the possible outcome of this latest round of talks?
No, absolutely no word whatsoever. As a matter of fact, Mr. Solana and Mr. Jalili just minutes ago came back from their lunch where they were discussing the freeze for freeze proposal, that is freeze of sanctions for freeze of expansion of the uranium enrichment. The fact is that they went to the lunch together, but they came back from the lunch separately, which suggests that the differences might still be there. Neither of them agreed to comment, which confirms the information that I heard a little bit earlier today by representatives of the Iranian delegation here in Vienna. They repeated that Iran will not suspend enrichment. So right now the success of those talks is really under question.
You've obviously been paying attention to the details. Were there any handshakes actually between the Iranian delegation and the American diplomat?
Well, as a matter of fact, no. Even what struck me during the going to lunch was that William Burns, the third most senior diplomat at the State Department who is present at the talks, he didn't even join Mr. Solana and Mr. Jalili for the lunch. He went to lunch separately and came back from the lunch separately. So he is indeed, as it seems, really only observing the way of the negotiations so far. But nevertheless, it is a good sign, his presence here in Geneva. It is indeed the first eye-to-eye contact between Iran and the United States, and it gives hopes that there might be a dialogue in a foreseeable future once a new administration occupies the White House.
So I take it from what you said that there was actually no participation on the part of Mr. Burns. He only remained a listener during the talks. Is that right?
What we hear from our sources inside the building, yes, he is only observing the talks, but nevertheless, this is a very positive sign. His presence here, this is the first time an American diplomat, especially of this high rank, joins nuclear discussions. This is the first time an American diplomat is present after almost 30 years of silence. So even though he's only a listener for the time being, his presence is a very positive sign.
Well, positive
and
is right. Positive is what everybody seems to be saying, but we'll have to wait and find out. What's been the reaction of the European side to the participation of a senior U.S. diplomat in the talks?
Of course, all European diplomats here welcome the participation of America in the nuclear talks here in Geneva. The French Foreign Minister Bernard Kouchner, for example, called the participation of Mr. Burns an additional asset, an important addition to the negotiating table, and it is indeed so. Those comments were confirmed also by the spokesperson of Mr. Javier Solana. The European diplomats here remain optimistic. They remain optimistic that this building behind me, where those indeed key talks are taking place now, might influence the negotiating parties in a positive way. The building has hosted many negotiations with a successful end, and
right.
The hope is still there that there might be a success today.
The aim of these talks was to set up a framework. We know that Iran has asked for a new approach, not one where the country is under pressure. Do you think that has been achieved during the talks?
Well, I spoke with many diplomats, and no one dares to make such a forecast. For the time being, everybody here is concentrated on the fact that there is an eye-to-eye contact between Iran and the United States. Details are not announced. The meeting itself is being held under a total media blackout. We have absolutely no information of what is going on at the talks. But we can hope for a positive development.
Eva Manasieva, First TV's correspondent in Geneva. Many thanks there.